An instrumental action is an action that happens in order to bring about an outcome. So we can say that the action is directed to the outcome, just means that the action occurs in order to bring the outcome about. Now, one of the really fundamental questions that we can ask about instrumental action is, what's the relation between the action and the outcome or outcomes to which it is directed? So over here we have a variety of actions that an agent is performing. There are movements related to the lighting of a cigarette. There are movements related to the pouring of some Prosecco. And on the other side, we have some actual and possible outcomes. These are things which in principle the agent's action might be directed to. And among the actual and possible outcomes, there will be some, perhaps filling the glass, to which the action is directed. So our question is, what is it that makes it the case that these actions are all bound together into a unit, and that as a unit they're somehow directed to filling the glass as opposed to soaking the trousers? So there's Aisha, and she is actually, lighting a cigarette while pouring some Prosecco. And what happens, in fact, is that it goes all over Zach's trousers and he gets terribly wet and sticky trousers from the Prosecco. And Aisha says, truthfully, the goal of my action was not to soak your trousers, but to fill your glass. I'm terribly sorry. Right? But what makes it true that the goal of her action is to fill the glass and not to soak the trousers? Well, one very standard idea is that intention explains this, right? So Aisha says, the goal of my actions was this, referring to the outcome, filling the glass. But she might also have said, look, I intended to fill your glass. So the intention specifies an outcome, and it also provides, when things go well, for the coordination of all of the actions, and for the coordination of all of those actions in such a way that, in the good cases, the probability of the specified outcome occurring increases. So in this way, we can regard intention as cashing out, as making good on this notion of directedness, explaining why it's true that the action occurs in order to bring about the outcome, and allowing us to say how we understand that in order to. Right? We understand the in order to by appeal to intention. But what I want to note now is that what we've just been learning about intention, about motor representation, allows us to recognize that intention is far from alone in being able to play this role. Intention is but one of at least two mental states that can ground the relation between an instrumental action and the outcomes or outcomes to which it is directed, because we can also appeal in this context to motor representation. For as we have just seen, there are motor representations which represent outcomes such as the filling of a glass, and those motor representations do indeed provide for the coordination of component actions, and they do so in such a way that when things go well, when the environment cooperates and so on, the coordination makes it more likely that the outcome will occur. That tells us that for just the same reasons as in the case of intention, so in the case of motor representation provides us with a grounding for the directedness of instrumental actions. The relation between an instrumental action and the outcome or outcomes to which it's directed may involve intention, but it need not. It may equally involve motor representation.